Hello everyone, hope you are doing good. So in today's video, we are going to discuss all that you need to know about data sufficiency and the points you need to keep in mind while solving data sufficiency questions. So let's start. The quantitative section of the GMAT consists of two types of questions, problem solving and data sufficiency. You are going to see 31 questions and you are provided 62 minutes to solve them. You are going to see about 16 problem solving and about 15 data sufficiency questions on the GMAT exam. We are going to discuss data sufficiency today. So many test takers feel that data sufficiency questions are weird and much harder than the problem solving questions. As the format, it is entirely different. However, once you get familiar with the format, data sufficiency questions won't seem so bad. The format of such questions always remains the same. So there are two types of data sufficiency questions, but before we discuss them, we are going to see how the data sufficiency questions look like. So in data sufficiency questions, you are going to see a question stem. It is followed by two statements, and then you have to pick your answer from the 5 answer choices. Every data sufficiency is followed by these answer choices. Now, what does these answer choices mean? Here, option A means statement 1 alone is sufficient, but statement 2 is not sufficient to answer the question. Option B means that statement 2 alone is sufficient to answer the question, but statement 1 alone is not sufficient to answer the question asked. Option C means both statements 1 and 2 together are sufficient to answer the question asked, but neither statement alone is sufficient to answer the question asked. Option D means each statement alone is sufficient to answer the question asked. Option E means statement 1 and 2 together are not sufficient to answer the question asked, and additional data is required to answer the question. For data sufficiency questions, we use AD or BCE approach. After reading the question stem, you should ask yourself, is statement 1 sufficient alone to answer the question? If the answer is yes, then you must write AD on your scratch paper. However, if it is no, then you are left with BCE. After writing AD or BCE, evaluate statement number 2 and ask yourself, is statement 2 sufficient alone? If your answer is yes, then your correct answer is D. However, if the answer is no, then the correct answer is A. Now, if you're at B, C, and E, you have to follow the same step. You have to ask yourself, is statement 2 sufficient alone? If the answer is yes, then the correct answer is B. However, if the answer is no, then you must eliminate B and you are left with C and D. Ask yourself, are statements 1 and 2 sufficient together? If the answer is yes, then your answer is C. Otherwise, it is E. So for all data sufficiency questions, you are required to use this approach. We call it as AD or BCE approach. So for data sufficiency questions, you must decide the question type. As we discussed earlier, there are two types of data sufficiency questions, namely value DS and yes/no DS. For value DS questions, you are required to give your answer as a specific value. If the statements provide more than one answer, more than one value, then it is insufficient. For example, if the question asks you what is the value of 2x plus 5, then from the statements, you have to see if they provide a single answer or more than one answer. So if it gives you a single answer, a specific answer, then it is sufficient. Another type is yes/no DS. As the name suggests, you must give your answer in either yes or no. If you are getting both yes and no from a statement, then it is insufficient. For example, if the question asks, is X prime? So you are expected to get a specific yes or no from the statements in order to say that it is sufficient. After learning the two types of data sufficiency question, another important thing is to consider each statement separately. Now, what does this mean? Let's see. So we have this question. What is the value of x? Statement number 1, x squared equal to 16. It means that x could be either 4 or minus 4. Here, I'm not getting a specific answer. So statement number 1 is insufficient. And we write BCE. Now let's check second statement. It says x is greater or equal to 0. So out of 4 and minus 4, only 4 is greater or equal to 0. So x equal to 4. So is this statement sufficient to answer the question? Actually, no. Because when I am at second statement, I'm carrying forward the information from statement number 1 to statement number 2, which is actually wrong. So when you are at second statement, you have to evaluate it alone. So x is greater or equal to 0. It means it could be 0, 1, 2, 1.5, and so on. So am I getting a specific value as the answer to my question? And the answer is no. So second statement is actually insufficient. So we will cross off B. So we are left with C and D. So at this step, you have to combine the information from the two statements. So if I combine the information from the two statements, I get x equal to 4. I'm getting a specific answer to the question. So my answer to the question is C, right? So remember that you must consider each statement separately before you go to the step of combining the information from the two statements. So another thing which you must remember on data sufficiency questions, that you must not trust the figures in the geometry data sufficiency questions. For example, here we have this question. What is the area of parallelogram ABCD shown above? So this is a parallelogram. Now, does this look like a rectangle? The answer is yes, but is it a rectangle? No, it is not a rectangle because it is nowhere mentioned in the question. Question states area of parallelogram ABCD. So this is actually a parallelogram which looks like a rectangle. So you must trust only the information given in the question. Don't trust the figure on data sufficiency question. Let's take another example. The question states, what is the area of triangular region ABC above? So does it look like an equilateral triangle? Yes, it looks like, but is it an equilateral triangle? Are you sure about it? Is it given anywhere in the question stem? The answer is no, because question only states triangular region ABC. So do not make any assumptions on data sufficiency geometry questions. Don't consider this X as 60 degrees, right? Now, you must know that on data sufficiency questions, we are not required to overanalyze the question. Remember that the data sufficiency questions don't test on your number crunching skills, but rather if you are able to analyze a set of data and decide what information you need to answer the question. It tests how you approach a problem and go about solving it rather than your calculation or arithmetic skills. You may not really need to do any math for these questions. So, what you must remember? Do not waste your valuable time solving a problem. Next, you should spend your time thinking in terms of concepts instead of numbers. Focus on quantitative concepts and not problem solving or manipulating numbers. You must revise and understand the basics of mathematics. On word problems, don't read into the plot too much since there is no additional meaning or layer attached to the problem. Last but not the least, check by plugging in numbers. We have this tendency to plug in only natural numbers such as 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. We forget that there are other numbers also which you must try while solving a question. For example, fractions or decimals, roots, zero, negative numbers, and irrational numbers such as pi. So when you are dealing with a data sufficiency question, and if you have to check numbers, think of different numbers. Think out of the box. Think of fractions, decimals, root, zero, etc. Now, In order to aid GMAT DS questions, you should be able to identify the type of data sufficiency questions, whether it is a value DS question or a yes/no DS question. Accordingly, you must be able to use the technique. You should know the quantitative concepts very well. It should be at the back of your hand. You should practice AD or BCE technique thoroughly. And you must use scratch paper wisely. Most of the students, they don't use scratch paper for data sufficiency questions. However, data sufficiency questions are different type of questions. And it is very important to use scratch paper for these questions. And if you know how to use scratch paper wisely for data sufficiency questions, half of the game is won. So I hope you learned all you need to know about data sufficiency questions. All the best for your GMAT preparation. Thank you.